Hello everyone, my name is Nathan ELEMENTofFROST. Welcome back to another episode review for the last episode of The Walking Dead that aired yesterday on March the 22nd. This is Season 5, Episode 15, entitled Try. Today obviously will be an episode review, so as always my reviews do contain spoilers. If you guys haven't caught up to this week's episode of The Walking Dead, I don't know what you're doing with your life, I really don't. But you might want to catch up before you continue on with this episode review. It's going to be very detailed, and shit went down yesterday, guys. It was absolutely insane, and I loved every single minute of it. So, to get into things, like I said, episode review contains spoilers, so here we go. To start the episode off, Deanna, Rag, Spencer, and everybody kind of that's not in our main Rick group, they're mourning the loss of Aiden. Basically, that's what I'm assuming. They're mourning the loss of Aiden, that's what we're all assuming. There's not really any words spoken in the beginning of the episode. They're basically mourning the loss of Aiden while listening to his music mix. You know, his CD, if you will. That's the mix that he made for himself. Anyway, they're kind of remembering him by listening to his style of music, basically. And Carol is baking a casserole, which we actually find out that she actually baked for Deanna and her people, basically saying, you know, I'm sorry for your loss. She actually left the casserole at her door along with a note, and Deanna leaves the casserole there. She takes the note, goes inside, and she burns it. This is a way of, basically, I presumingly thought it was a way of basically saying, you know, kind of like this is war. Sort of, you know. Ever since you guys got here, you know, shit have gone wrong. This note is probably fake, if you will. This is probably just a way to get us to get you to get, like, to basically trust you, you know. That's what I'm trying to say. And she kind of realizes that, you know, Carol is sneaky in a way, you know, obviously she is. Obviously this would be a way to keep Deanna trusting her and trusting the group and everything like this. Does she really care? Probably not. You know, probably not. She cares probably more about Noah and everybody that they lost rather than Aiden, and, you know, that's just the brutal truth. It is. It's straight up. That's it. But anyway, Deanna burns the note. Afterwards, Deanna watches a video recording of her interview with Nicholas, as he recounts basically Aiden's death. You know, Nicholas and everybody, they're back at the community now. They're back at Alexandria. And Nicholas is telling a very, very, very strung-out version and very, very different version than what happened at the warehouse where Aiden died. Basically, Nick is accusing Glenn of causing the warehouse explosion by distracting Aiden. You know, Aiden is actually the one who shot the walker that was wearing the grenade on his suit. So, obviously, again, that wasn't Glenn. Lie right there. He adds that himself was almost left to die by Glenn's group. In the video, Deanna forbids him and Glenn from leaving the community, basically saying, you know, until I solve this, until I find out what actually happened, I don't want you guys going out there. You know, you're obviously dangerous, people died, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's actually a very smart move on her part. I completely agree with her. You know, if she did knew what happened, obviously Nicholas would be the one in trouble and not Glenn. Even though they're not really both in trouble at all, you know, she's kind of just taking a benefit of the doubt. You know, like, what happened, you never really know. She never really knows until she finds out. So anyways, meanwhile, Glenn recounts his version of events, but not to Deanna. I actually thought it was originally to Deanna, but it actually ended up being Rick. Glenn is basically telling Rick what happened in his version, the real version of what happened, the entire truth. Basically saying, you know, they died because of Nicholas. Nicholas is the reason why Aiden died was because of Nicholas, because Nicholas left Aiden. You know, he basically said that, you know, he had to go, blah 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 blah. There was walkers closing in. I'm sorry, and he abandoned Aiden. You know, that's just what happened. And then in the doors, Nicholas obviously pushed the door open. He got scared. He pushed the door open, caused Noah to die. So there you go. That was the real story, basically. Rick is now seething kind of over the fact that no one in the community knows how to survive. Basically, Glenn insists that they can be taught, and he says that we have got to make this work because Noah believed in this place. This is what's got to be done. We have to make this work. We have to teach them, basically. And Rick doesn't know if it can be done, but that's where the conversation ends between him and Glenn. Carol now meets with Rick and revisits her proposal to kill Pete. She says that Sam once found Jesse on the floor after Pete had knocked her unconscious. Carol adds that if walkers hadn't killed her husband Ed, that she would not be standing there, and Rick replies with, yeah, you would. Probably she would be standing there because Shane probably would have either finished his job or Rick would have had his way with him. Either or, you know, Shane basically almost killed him anyway by punching him over and over and over and over and over and over and over again when they were back in season 1 at the creek, sorta, not the creek, but the quarry is what it's called. But anyway, Rick replies with, yeah, you would. Rick walks to the lake and stares out at the water, basically gripping his gun that he actually stole, that stolen revolver. Pete sees Rick. He basically comes up behind him. He says, you know, are you okay? Rick at this point, you know, after talking to Carol, you know, he kind of wants to kill Pete, but at the same time, everything is telling him not to, basically. You know what I mean? Everything is telling him to handle this in another way. And basically, Rick just wanted to get Pete out of there before Rick did something that he would have regretted. You know, Rick, in a way, is too far gone, but at the same time, he keeps trying to pull himself back. That's what he's trying to do. And Rick basically warns him by saying, keep walking, you know, in a very deep voice. Anyway, that was trending on Twitter pretty much all last night. Literally, it was hashtag keep walking. I thought that was absolutely fucking hilarious. Anyway, the next morning now, Rosita comes into Michonne's room. This was actually a sneak peek that we actually seen on the AMC.com website or the AMC YouTube channel. Rosita basically tells Michonne that Sasha spent the night in the guard tower and hasn't returned. Abraham's up there now, obviously keeping guard, but they have no idea where Sasha went. They basically search for Sasha in the woods. They realize that it's the first time they've been outside the walls since they arrived at Alexandria. Michonne basically says that she feels like that she's been asleep. You know, Noah's died. I don't really feel it. I find it really weird in a way. That's what she's kind of saying. You know, she finds it weird in a way that she's kind of forgetting about this now. You know, she's outside the walls. She's forgetting about how it feels like. She didn't bring her sword out there. She literally just brought a gun. She's sort of acting like a deputy now. You know, she left her sword in there. She's kind of leaving that past life behind. She's starting to adapt to this new life. And that's what she's trying to get over, basically, you know? That's what it is. So, Rick now is talking to Deanna. They're kind of standing beside graves. This is actually what we've seen in a couple promos for The Walking Dead. This was a very large scene. Rick basically tells Deanna about Pete, and is shocked, and I was shocked to learn that Deanna actually fucking knew about it. Deanna has been protecting Pete because of his medical skills. They're an asset. Obviously, that's 100% true. You know, his medical skills are an asset. You need a doctor in this apocalypse. You do. That's just straight up. You do. But you can't have this thing go on just because you're afraid to lose maybe the only doctor they have. You can't just let a woman get beat. That's not how this new world that Deanna is trying to create, you know, she's trying to go back to the old world that they had. Well, let me just say that in the old world that they had, abusive relationships were not really a thing. You know, you can't just let this slide if you're not willing to let other things slide. That's not how that should work. And Rick realizes this. He realizes that Deanna, because of this protecting Pete, is not a good leader whatsoever. She's making tons and tons and tons of mistakes. Basically, Rick suggests that they separate Jesse and Pete, and if Pete doesn't cooperate, that they kill him. She says that we don't kill people, this is civilization. Rick basically presses Deanna, you know, saying that we cannot let this go on. We can't have him beating Pete and his son. That's not going to happen. It can't happen. And Deanna just shuts him down. She says basically, I wouldn't kill you. I'd just send you away. Basically saying that, if you don't back off, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to do what you would do to Pete, but I will boot you out, basically, is what she's saying. And at this point, Rick knows what has to be done. I mean, in all honesty, that's he knows at this point. That's what he feels, at least, what needs to be done. And, well, we get into it a little later on in the episode. So, Michonne and Rosita find dead walkers in the woods, all killed by shots to the back of the head. Michonne basically says that she's hunting them. That's actually something that Michonne used to do. She kind of starts to revisit her past in a way, and realizes what Sasha is doing. Carl now is secretly following Enid into the woods. This was a very spicy scene, if you will. Chandler Riggs, actually, the guy who plays Carl on The Walking Dead, was actually on Talking Dead last night. I actually found it very interesting. I found it very, very cool that he was actually on Talking Dead. He talked a lot about Carl, about his character development, about this whole thing with Enid, how this could go. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, but I think I think it definitely could be cool. Enid knows that he's following her. She never says anything right off the bat, but she finally says, "You're very loud." Basically calling him out, saying that, why are you following me? Basically now they playfully run through the trees. They stop short when they spot a walker. Enid takes a timer out of her backpack and chucks it at a walker. The buzzer goes off, luring the walker away. They both keep running. Cut to Glenn now, who's finding Nicholas cleaning out the blood-soaked van that they took Tara home in, obviously. And he takes him... he basically takes him aside, and he basically is shaming him, sort of, for letting 5 people die during supply runs. The 2 people originally and the 3 people, or the 3 people originally and the 2 people last time. Aiden and Noah. And maybe Tara, if she doesn't make it through things. But, nonetheless, he basically says to him, Glenn says that you're just a coward. People like you are supposed to be dead. These walls went up just in time. That's why you are alive. You're not alive for any other reason. You did not survive out there. You're not alive for any other reason other than the fact that these walls went up just in time and you were lucky. That's it. People like you are supposed to be dead. He basically forbids Nicholas from leaving the community by himself or with anybody else because you just get people killed. And he basically says that that's how you are going to survive. Nicholas retorts with, "Are you threatening me?" And Glenn basically replies jokingly, not really jokingly, he kind of laughs about it in a cynical way. He says, "No, I'm saving you." It was sort of a threat, but he doesn't want it to be too obvious or anything. He doesn't want to get told on, doesn't want to get tattled on or anything like that. But basically he says that, I'm trying to save you. That's basically just it. Because you're going to go out there, you get more people killed. Obviously, you can't take on the 5 people that you already let die on your watch. You can't take on that responsibility very well in the first place. So if you take on any more deaths, you're going to be even more hurt. Or eventually you're going to get yourself killed, basically. Back in the woods now, Carl and Enid hear a herd of walkers approaching. They hide inside of a hollow tree trunk. Very, very close together, let me tell you. Very, very intense scene. Obviously they were both inside this one tree trunk. They were both kind of together. Enid basically says to Carl as they walk by, she says, it's their world and we're just living in it. They both have this sort of fantasy. Carl even said before that... he even said before that, he has dreams of being out here in the woods with them, with the walkers. That's what they kind of dream about. That's what they grew up in this world, basically. You know, they didn't really have much time in the previous world to do anything or to learn the life of the previous world. So they really don't have anything to miss, in a way. This new world is basically all they know, which is why every time they're behind safety of walls and everything like that, they dream of being out there with the walkers. You know, that's what fun, I guess, is to them, in a way. Obviously, walkers are dangerous, but that's their normal life. That's their everyday life, and they're both still very used to it. So, anyways, yeah, they're in a trunk, and after she whispers that, Carl kind of touches her hand. They kind of lock eyes. Very, very weird, very, very strange for Carl to be involved in the situation. Even Chandler Riggs on Talking Dead said that scene was very, very awkward for him to shoot. And she basically says to him, you know, he touches her hand and then kind of brushes away, like very, very quickly. And she basically says to him that, you know, you're afraid of me too. Previously, she said that she was afraid of him. I don't know, maybe this is a way of saying that they like each other. I'm not really sure at this point. But she basically says that she's afraid of him, and he touches her hand, which is sort of a, I don't know, maybe a romantic way type thing. And she says that you're afraid of me too because he brushed away so quickly. I don't know. I really don't. So, anyway, moving on. Ignoring Glenn's instructions, Nicholas sneaks into the woods and digs something up from a hiding spot. And it actually turns out to be the gun that Rick has stashed prior to entering Alexandria. So, who is Nick? You know, is Nicholas just a character in Alexandria? Is it just plainly that simple? Maybe when Rick stashed that gun, maybe he was out, and maybe he was outside the walls and he seen Rick stash the gun, and then he went and just took it. Who really knows? Maybe he was just trying to protect the community, or maybe he's working for someone else. Could be not. Maybe I'm looking too much into this. But we will get into that in the prediction video of The Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 16, entitled Conquer, which we will obviously get into on Thursday. So, anyways, yeah, he gets the gun that Rick stashed prior. Elsewhere in the woods now, Michonne and Rosita find Sasha slaughtering a large cluster of walkers. Michonne and Rosita join Sasha's side and kill the walkers together, basically saying, you know, this isn't for you, this is for us, basically, and they kind of join in. They kind of take some of their rage out, some of their anger, and they kind of just go back for a brief second to being who they were on the outside of the walls. You know, they want a taste of it, basically. They don't want to forget. Afterwards, Sasha basically screams at him to leave her alone. She then breaks down and admits her guilt for once having told Noah that he would survive. Basically, she said to Noah before that he would make it. And obviously he didn't. You know, this was probably the last straw that Sasha could take, you know. She lost Bob in Season 5. She lost Tyrese in the mid-season premiere of Season 5. And then she lost Noah, which she promised who would survive. She said that to Noah, she said that he would make it, and turns out none of those three did. You know, it's been a very, very tough season for Sasha. And I completely understand why she goes psycho sometimes, why she just likes killing walkers. She likes taking the rage basically out on them. And, you know, I totally do get it. Now, in the woods on their recruiting mission, Daryl and Aaron spot a campfire in the distance. They follow a trail and come across a pile of freshly hacked limbs. They find a woman basically naked and disemboweled, tied to a tree, with a W carved onto the forehead. And Aaron basically notes, you know, this just happened, and Daryl kind of confirms it. Now, this is another scene right here that we actually can compare again back to the mid-season premiere of Season 5. When we visited Noah's community inside of Virginia, basically. When they went to his community and they found everybody dead, they found arms and legs everywhere. The torsos and heads were missing. We later found out that the torsos and heads were stashed into a car. It's like sort of a weird ritual. They have W's on their foreheads. The wolves are coming. The scavengers from the comic books. Shit's going down, guys. I mean, honestly, you know, it's coming close to their camp now. Obviously, Daryl and Aaron are probably not that far off their camp. You know, they probably did go a bit of a ways to try to find a new group, but they are starting to come close to Alexandria. And obviously, on a couple episodes back, when Daryl and Rick and Carol were all outside of Alexandria's walls, meeting up, telling and grouping up and basically saying that they need to steal these guns. Obviously, they came across a walker there that had a W on the forehead. And, you know, obviously this is getting very, very close to Alexandria. You know, that's just what it is. It's getting really, really close to Alexandria. And I'm not really sure what to think. You know, I don't know when we're going to see him. The season finale is literally next episode. I don't know if this shit's all going to go down in one episode, or we're going to be maybe left on a cliffhanger until season 6. I don't really know at this point, but it is getting next to Alexandria's doors, so to speak. And shit's going to happen. You know, that's just what it is. So, anyways, moving on now. Rick finds Jessie in her garage and tells her that he knows about Pete. He basically says that I know that he's hitting you. I can take care of myself. She basically replies, Rick basically says, you know, I want to help you. You know, this isn't right. He can't be hitting you. I want to help you. And she basically says that I'm married. I can take care of myself. She closes the garage door. And basically undeterred now, Rick is outside, still kind of messing. It's messing with his head. You know, he wants to help Jessie. He finds this kind of like a damsel in distress sort of situation, and he likes fixing things. You know, that's just what he is. He's a leader. He likes keeping people safe, and this is just another way to do it. You know, this is. You know, I think it kind of reminds him some sort of his wife, Lori. He couldn't protect her from death. You know, he couldn't really protect her at all, in a way. And she ended up dying. And he thinks of Jessie as sort of a second chance to go about that and protect, you know, maybe someone that he might grow to love. You know, maybe someone that he already does, in a way. He finds Jessie a second chance to do what he should have done with Lori, basically. And undeterred now, Rick basically barges into Jessie's living room. She's in the living room crying. Rick basically tells her, you know, if you don't fight, you die. You know, you're in behind these walls, but you don't understand. It's the same in here as it is out there. If you don't fight, you die. He basically says that I can help you. I don't want you to die. I can help you. Jessie basically says, you know, would you do the same for anyone else? And he admits that he would not. He basically says, all you have to do is say yes and take my help. I want to help you. I don't want you to die. And she basically whispers yes. And that's just as Pete walks through the fucking door. Yeah. Shit gets real fast. Pete basically demands now that Rick leave. He basically demands what's going on first, and then he kind of starts to realize what's going on. And he demands that Rick leaves. Rick refuses, and instead orders Pete to leave with him, basically. So to speak, they were going to try to go handle him, maybe separate him in a way. You know, he didn't really come into this house thinking that he was going to kill Pete. He didn't really come to this house having the intentions to kill him or to do anything harshly towards Pete or anything like this. He just wanted to separate him. That's it. You know, that's basically it. He was actually taking Deanna's advice, basically. And Pete basically explodes with anger and takes a swing at Rick. He smashes Rick against the wall. Obviously, Pete did strike first. He definitely did. The two begin basically brawling. And this is when shit got really real. They broke a table and cut to a scene outside. Rick just came smashing, basically speared Pete through the front window. Guys, it was so fucking cool. It was so epic. I loved every single second of this fight. It was very, very cool. It was sort of like a Season 2, 18 miles out sort of fight between Rick and Shane, if you will. But instead of Shane, obviously, this was Pete. That was Season 2, Episode 10, if I am correct on that. But nonetheless, yeah, a fight. Very big fight. He literally crashes through the front window and out onto the street. The community gathers around Rick and Pete as they pummel each other. Pete basically rolls over on top of Rick, starts beating him up, starts trying to choke him. Jesse basically tries to intervene, tries to get Pete off of Rick, and basically Pete punches Jesse in the face, to kind of get her off of him, not to mention he's obviously abusive. This pushes Rick over the edge. He literally just takes the arm out from under Pete, pushes him on his side, he gets him on his side, he starts choking him, he kind of gets him in a chokehold. Carl tries to break up the fight. Rick kind of just pushes him away. He doesn't punch him in the face or anything, he just kind of pushes him away, saying, hold on, I'll handle this. Yeah, basically Deanna orders them to stop. Basically Rick has him in a chokehold. He basically says that if you ever hit her again, I will kill you next time. Deanna orders them to stop, and basically Rick says, or what? And he pulls out his stolen revolver and points the gun at everybody. Basically, he just straight up points the gun at everybody. He basically says, or what? He basically says, you're going to kick me out. He questions this. Meanwhile, in the guard tower, Sasha snipes at walkers that have congregated at the wall. One of them has a W, again, carved into its forehead. This is another W walker outside the wall. Again, the wolves, the scavengers, getting very, very close. In front of Jesse's house now, a bloodied Rick is basically giving another speech. Doing the good old Rick thing that he does. He's giving another speech. He insists that community's ignorance of the real world is going to get people killed. He basically says, it's already gotten people killed. People outside those walls have died because of your people. Nicholas. Aiden has died because of Nicholas. Noah, one of their own people, has died because of Nicholas. These people do not know how to survive. Rick basically says, I'm not going to just stand by and just let it happen. And before he can continue, Michonne comes out of nowhere and strikes Rick in the back of the head and basically knocking him unconscious. And I really still don't know what to think about this. I knew this was sort of going to happen because this is still what happened in the comic book. This is sort of a trait of loyalty, but at the same time, Michonne kind of knows that if Rick doesn't stop, they're going to get kicked out. And that's not an option at this point. They need this place for safety. For Rick's baby, they need it for Carl, they need it for their group. Michonne realizes that, and she does what she needs to do. In a way. But at the same time, I feel like she kind of betrays Rick. Rick has kept them alive through everything. And while she is right, sort of, because Rick has this gun held up, he's not just giving a speech without a gun. While she is right to knock him out, she's wrong at the same time. Because everything Rick was saying is 100% completely true. He basically said, we need to control who lives here. Deanna basically says, yeah, that has never been more clear to me than it is right now. Basically referring to Rick, basically saying that Rick should not live here. He's a dangerous man. Rick kind of laughs it off, saying that, I'm the one that is protecting people. I'm the one, we're the ones that have survived outside. You don't question us. We question you. You guys are not ready for this world. You guys are in here literally playing house with people's lives. And Noah came into this community completely believing in it, and he paid the price with his fucking life because of Nicholas, because of cowards like that, because of people who don't know what to do. And everything that Rick was saying was completely true. I feel he shouldn't have done it with the gun. It might have came on a little bit better if he didn't do it with the gun. But nonetheless, Pete did deserve an ass kicking. I mean, if anybody, even Deanna, if she fucking disagrees with that, she's a complete fucking idiot in the first place, which I feel she is anyways, because she's making all these horrible decisions. She obviously doesn't trust the group anymore. That's partially thanks to Gabriel in the last episode. Obviously, him letting her know that Rick's people are not good people, they're bad people, basically saying that Satan is inside of them, and all this stuff. I don't really know, though. You know, I feel like next episode is going to be very, very good. But at the same time, I think that next episode is going to sort of be like a Rick episode. You know, saying, will Rick get to come back? You know, they're obviously not going to banish Rick. They're probably going to try to banish Rick. Shit's not going to happen, though, because everybody's going to threaten to leave. There's actually already been a sneak peek with Maggie talking about that. That situation. We'll get into that with the prediction video this Thursday on, it will be obviously March the 26th, so obviously stick around for that. Stay tuned. I actually did hit 1,000 subscribers, guys, so I do want to take this time to thank you guys so much for helping me hit 1,000 subscribers. It really does mean a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, obviously, to stay tuned. Next week's episode of The Walking Dead is Season 5, Episode 16, the season finale entitled Conquer. Next week's episode is actually a full 90 minutes long, guys. It's no longer an hour. The season finale is 90 minutes long, so I'm very, very excited for it. I can't wait to see what they bring extra for extra content and stuff like that. I think it's going to be absolutely insane. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. Yeah, I don't know. Michonne kind of turned on Rick, but at the same time, I think she kind of did the group a favor. You know, because they were probably going to get kicked out if she didn't do something. You know, I was kind of prepared for it, like I said, because I did read the comic book, I did read the graphic novel, but it still came as a really big, giant shock to me when it happened, when Michonne just came out and knocked him out. But nonetheless, hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, feel free to hit the video with a like, share it with your friends. Tell me in the comment section below what else you guys want to see from me. Tell me also in the comment section below what you guys thought of last night's episode. If you liked it, what parts of it did you not like? What parts of it maybe did you find awkward? Carl in a need, what? Stay tuned, stay tuned, and stick around for this week's upcoming episode of The Walking Dead and my episode predictions for this week's upcoming episode of The Walking Dead. Season 5, Episode 16, the season finale entitled Conquer. My prediction video, like I said, will be going up Thursday, March 26th. And the episode will obviously be airing on March 29th, Sunday. 90 minutes long, guys. Get ready. It's going to be great. And I'll talk to you guys on the next video. Alright, guys. Later.